Many will argue that politics is a numbers game, but when it comes to determining the political net worth of an individual, is it just by the number of people in their sphere of influence, or can political net worth be bought, or is it solely earned? My name is Isabella Akinseye, and Politico Politica starts now.
The Nigeria of the future is for dreamers like me.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
Our local government areas must become special economic zones.
I hope to disrupt the politics of failure.
There will be no sacred cow.
Dissolve all the congresses, dissolve the convention, and start all over again.
Mr. President, my people are under siege.
Leadership is not about the position you hold.
You can't shut down your shop and be chasing criminals.
If you allow criminals, there will be no shop.
Find ways to fix your judiciary.
Transport say aye.
And most importantly, fix the mind of the people.
The party must do what is right.
Nigeria suffers from a state of economic radiculopathy, social sciatica, and political dystopia.
Welcome back to Politico Politica with me, your host, Isabella Akinseye. Now, let's meet our guest. He graduated with a BSc in Urban and Regional Planning. He is a scholar of the Said Business School, University of Oxford, and HEC Business School, Paris, where he studied consulting and coaching for change. As a strategy consultant of repute, he has enjoyed a varied and successful career across sector and industries such as banking, telecommunications, aviation, and oil and gas, with clients within and outside Nigeria. He has provided free knowledge resources to NGOs like the Faith Foundation, Incubator Africa, Designing Futures, the Owando Foundation, and Fela Durotoye's Advantage series. He is the CEO of Proviant Integrated Services Nigeria Limited, a social engineering company. He is the gubernatorial candidate of the Alliance for New Nigeria in Ogun State. He is Ademola Ogunbanjo. Demola, welcome to Politico Politica.
Thank you, Isabella. Thanks for having me.
So let's go straight to our topic of the day. Today we'll be discussing political net worth. Now, many will say that politics is a numbers game. So will you say your political net worth is determined by the number of people in your sphere of influence?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Although for me, politics is not so much of a numbers game. Politics for me is about well-being of the people, their advancement, and the achievement of their personal aspirations within, a governance system that is run, hopefully for the benefit of the people. But when it comes to political net worth, you are absolutely right. It's either you have direct links with the people or you have indirect links with them, which means you're connected to the influencers that's connected to them. But however many people buy into your vision and your aspirations to serve the people, yes, that actually determines your political net worth.
Now let's look at the political party you belong to. Do you feel that joining a new party or joining an old party plays a part in determining the political net worth of an individual?
We recognize that older parties have been around for much longer. That's why they're older parties. They have more supporters, more members, and they have run governments at different levels. So they're better known, and people take it for granted that once you join the older parties, it means your chances of winning or your political net worth becomes higher. But we must also recognize that parties don't run government, people do, and the people have come to a point in this political journey that they're now looking for credible candidates. Because when you think about it, historically you will find that parties have let them down significantly. People have voted in incompetent leaders through popular parties. And what we're trying to do in 2019 is help the people see that the credible alternative that they're looking for is available in the candidates, not necessarily what party they may belong to.
So how much political capital does a political party play in the net worth of an individual?
It's a lot. I must confess, it's a lot. There are people, again, like I said earlier, that will vote for a particular party not even knowing who the candidate is. And then as we have it in Nigeria, when you get to the ballot box, it's the logo of the party that you see, that you vote. So people end up voting for parties, not individuals. But what we're trying to do is say that, yes, you see the logo of the party on the ballot, but you must also know that you are voting for that party because of the candidate. So yes, the party has a major role to play. If the party is popular, it helps you. But if the party is not popular, you have to promote both party and yourself. So you earn that capital together.
Okay, now let's look at the roles of godmothers and godfathers in actually raising the political net worth of a candidate. So you have a new person coming out, but nobody has heard about this person, but they have a strong godfather or godmother. So do those people transfer their political net worth to their anointed candidates? So to say?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting. This is the first time I'm hearing anyone say godmother. We've always just said godfather, godfather. I mean, how chauvinistic that is, right? So thanks for bringing in the godmother angle. That said, however, there are three things that I believe you need, to run for office, and it will be effective and efficient and perhaps easy for you. You need wisdom, you need cash, and then you need network. These three things come usually with age. Wisdom is usually a function of age, exposure, experience, all right? Cash, if you have not inherited something huge or stolen something or, had a break at a very early stage, cash also is something you pile up over time. All right, so it again comes with age. And then network as well, which you call political net worth, right? Also comes with age, time. So when you have someone who has all three and is offering those three to you to step on so that you can then run for office, it's an amazing thing. So I've always insisted there's absolutely nothing wrong with godmothers or godfathers. The challenge is that once they give you the platform to run on their wisdom, on their network, on their cash, they then want to call the shots when you get into office. And then at the end of the day, you realize that you're governing for the benefit of the godmother or the godfather, not the benefits of the people.
So do you have a problem with that, collecting somebody's wisdom, someone's cash, and the person's network, and then going there and playing to your own script?
I have absolutely no problem with the provision or availability of those from godmothers and godfathers. The challenge I have with it is that when you give those things, can you please freely give them and not hope that you will then dictate how the government is run? That's my only challenge.
So can political net worth be bought, or is it solely earned?
It's earned. If you want to buy net worth, I mean, it means you want to buy votes, you want to buy support. It will cost you a lot. And when you're ready to buy political net worth, it means you're not going into governance to serve the people. You're going there to serve yourself, because it would then be an investment that you feel you must recoup even with interest. So it's something you must earn. You must be ready to do the work, whether your party is old or new. You must be able to engage the people, hit the road, constantly sell your vision to the people you're looking to serve, and hope they buy your vision. Hope that your vision, aligns with their own as well, and and the picture of the future that you paint, is also in tandem with the future that they want for themselves and their children.
So you don't believe that it can be bought?
I believe it can be bought. I'm just saying that once you're ready to buy it, then it means you're not going into office to serve the people.
Okay, and my final question will be, what's your political net worth?
I wouldn't know, actually. Nobody has put a barometer to it yet. We're just still doing the work.
We'll be going on a quick breather on Politico Politica, but before then, we would like for you to join the conversation online. Use the hashtag Politico Politica, tweet at PP with Isabella, and the handle to follow on Instagram and Facebook is Politico Politica. Please join us when the show returns.
Politico Politica. Politics for everyone.
Welcome back to Politico Politica with me, your host, Isabella Akinseye. It's now time for our Politics and More segment, an opportunity for our guest to share his political journey. So, Ademola, has politics always been on the cards for you, or is it something that came up as a result of the injustice you saw, or maybe somebody pushed you, a godfather, a godmother?
Politics is something that I flirted with. In 2015, I was going to run for senator in Ogun Central District, and I engaged it very briefly. I realized that it was a treacherous path to travel, and I very quickly just, stepped back. A lot of people do not even know about it, apart from the, few people that I engaged in the process. And when I left it in 2015, I believed I'd left it for good. Again, in 2008, I think it was, I had written a blog about my intent to run for office. But, but I never did, anything about it until 2015. So for me, it's always been there, dormant. But, I just didn't, I do not believe that it's a safe environment. So, I've been far away from it. But very recently, 2018, late February, I went to Ijebu-Igbo to have a conversation about my piece of land there, but thinking about building something. And I just looked around. Now, I grew up in Ijebu-Igbo. I went to primary school there. I went to secondary school there. And even when I was in uni at Ife, I would go back to Osu and go back home. And, my mother still lives there, But this time around, I looked around and Ijebu was hollow. It wasn't empty, it was hollow. There was something missing. The vibrancy, of the soul of Ijebu-Igbo was missing. Banks had shut down because armed robbers, were disturbing them. All the things that were good back when I was growing up in Ijebu-Igbo had gone bad. The things that were bad had become worse. And I began to ask many questions in my spirit, on my way back to Lagos. And long story short, God said to me at some point, after my aggravated conversation with him, and he said, his words, "Toba Kailara Toyan, step forward, I'll go with you."
Which means if it is paining you so much and is doing your body, just
step forward.
Step into the ring.
I'll go with you.
So you're God sent, basically.
Well, my God said to me, if it's that important to you, step forward. I will go with you.
Okay.
And on the strength of that, I will go with you, I decided to engage the process. So, and that explains why I don't have a godfather or a godmother, because I have got the Father.
I hear that a lot. I don't have a godfather, I have got the Father. But let's go back to that early flirtation with politics, from the blog to actually considering running for Senate. What party was that, and what influenced you into joining ANN?
So back then, it was the ruling party in Ogun State. I'm not sure if it had become APC at the time or it was still ACN. I do not remember now. But joining ANN was actually an unintended positive consequence. Fela Drotoye, very good friend of mine, had decided to run for president. And I was, part of the early day team putting the strategy document together, the policy document, and the path into engaging the campaign, and also shoring up the image of Fela himself, moving him from just being a management consultant and leadership coach to becoming somebody that people could relate to beyond, he's a motivational speaker, right? And then he had introduced ANN. Because we had considered starting our own party, Nation Builders Alliance, but in the process of doing that, we met ANN, and he brought ANN to speak to us. And the constitution at the time, or the story at the time, was that at the presidential primaries, all card-carrying members of the party ANN would vote for who the president will be, who the candidate will be. And so I thought, okay, so I would have to join the party, be a card-carrying member, so I could vote, who I was supporting, and that was why I joined ANN, not because I wanted to run for any office, until this conversation with God came to be. And then I realized that, like I said, it was an unintended positive consequence.
So what are the political ideologies of ANN that you subscribe to?
So basically it is that fundamental thing we've been talking about, the absence of institutionalized godfatherism or godmotherism. You know, somebody saying, oh no, you would go. Oh no, it's you step down. Oh no, you wait. You know, you would. No, we leave that to internal democracy. We leave that to the people. It's based on, you know, capacity, capabilities. It's based on competence and popularity, even within the party. You know, so the people decide who they want to represent them at the party level. And I believe that if you cannot, you know, do that at the party level, if there's no democracy within your party, you know, how can you then, you know, live by the tenets of democratic rule when you get into office? So that's, for me, the most fundamental, you know, ideology that continues to, you know, please me about ANN.
Is the democratic nature of the party.
Yes.
Okay, how are you funding everything? Because I mean, you spoke about cash and collecting money from people, but you said you don't have any godfather or godmother. So how is this whole campaign being funded?
Well, literally all my savings gone. You know, but you know, I've got friends and family who believe in my agenda, in my aspiration, you know, and they believe in the vision that I'm putting forward. They can see it, they buy into it, and you know, most importantly, they understand that there's a, you know, there's sincerity of purpose in what it is that I'm doing and what it is that I'm saying. You can hold me to what I'm saying. And because of that, they're putting their hard-earned cash, you know, into it. I mean, people have donated 5,000 naira, 50,000 naira, 1 million naira, 500,000 naira, you know, so, and we continue to do the work. But I have a fundamental, you know, basis for the funding. You know, I have said to God, whatever you provide fund for, we will do. Whatever comes onto the plate that you have not provided funds for, it means we won't do it, because I will sell nothing through this journey. I will borrow nothing through this journey. You will so fund it. And it's been funded.
Thank you, Ademola.
Thank you, Isabella.
We'll be going on a quick breather on Politico Politica, but when the show returns, it's our Project Ogun segment, where our guest will share his big plans for his state. Do stay with us.
Politico Politica. Politics for everyone.
Welcome back to Politico Politica with me, your host, Isabella Akinseye. It's now time for our Project Ogun segment, where our guest will be sharing his big plans for his state if he's given the mandate. So how would you rate the state of affairs in Ogun State now? I know you already alluded to it in our first segment where you said there was a hollowness in Ijebu-Igbo, but now Ogun State in general.
Ijebu-Igbo, I mean, exists within the context of Ogun State, and whatever you see in Ijebu-Igbo, you know, you will see in Ayetoro, you will see in Ilaro, you will see in Ilado, you will see in Ogere, you would see in Shagamu. It's everywhere, you know, and it's what it speaks to is that you can see that people are toiling economically. You know, they've become so economically defenseless, right, that even, you know, their political decisions are made with considerations for things as basic as food, you know, and you can tell that it's become extremely important that people like you and I then step forward in the defense of our people, you know, and I consider this a test of our humanity. You know, we can't just look away anymore. You know, people are really in poverty. I thought I knew what the state of affairs, you know, was, but since I engaged this process, March 2018, I have seen poverty, you know, stare at me in the face everywhere that I've, you know, been to, and that's why this has become, you know, an extremely important mandate for me. Yeah.
So even before putting yourself up to this task of running for the office of governor, what are you already doing to address some of the issues in your own personal capacity in Ogun State? So
I've been a very private person. I have enjoyed the successes that God's blessed me with the people that are close to me. I have shared my economic influence or resources with the people that are close to me, family members, extended and closer, friends as well, and friends of friends. And once I hear about it, I'm happy to fix it. And I don't want to be known for it. I don't like to put a signpost to whatever good I do. My Bible teaches me that whatever my right hand is doing, my left shouldn't even know about it. So those are the things that I've done. And when people ask me, what have you done? I say, those are not stories for me to tell. Those are stories for those who have benefited from me to tell. But I would tell you that I've, often run into people who will say thank you for something that I did, and Lord knows I do not remember. But I just say you're welcome anyways, so, but you see that's subsistence engagement. How much can I do with my little resources? The important thing is that we get to a place in governance where we, use government money, public funds to solve public problems, right? Rather than a few, harnessing the resources of the state and then giving a little back to the people. Let's take the money that belongs to the people to serve the people. That's where you can, achieve mass empowerment.
So if given the mandate, what areas will you focus on? I know poverty alleviation, just by our discussion, will come up, but beyond poverty alleviation, or how will you tackle poverty? Thank you.
I thought we weren't going to go there. Because poverty alleviation is big grammar. A lot of people say it. We will, tackle poverty. What are you going to do, right? Ogun State has 74% of its land, as arable, which means we can farm productively, on 74% of our land. And the agenda is to invest heavily in agriculture in Ogun State, yield optimization, mechanization, seed sourcing, farming techniques, bring back the agric extension, programs where government workers will go train farmers in remote areas, how to farm and what techniques to use. And we'll do this in partnership with a few multilateral organizations that are set up to do things like that. And what that then does is because the agenda for that is to turn Ogun State into the food basket of the Southwest region. So what that does is you then help with mechanization, where it's currently subsistence. You help with seed sourcing, where yield optimization is required. So the same piece of land I used to give you, say, 5 tons of maize, will then give you 25 tons because you're planting the right seeds and then you're using the right techniques, and then you're also using mechanization for farming. The resultant effect of that is where mechanization is available, you then release the children from the farm so that they can go to school, right? And then we set up the agri-exchange, system, and it was always there. It used to be called agri-cooperatives that government set up so that they would buy produce of all farmers. So it's assured offtake. Once you can assure offtake, right, the farmer is more energized to do more, knowing full well that whatever produce it is they cultivate, will be sold. But that's not the only thing that happens. Because you can draw a direct line between, cultivation and cash, even the youth will now engage it. And we'll roll that out with the OYA program that we're going to deploy. OYA stands for Ogun Youth in Agriculture. And then we encourage the young people as well to engage farming, whether it's fish farming or poultry or snails or cultivation, and all of that. So there's a huge line of program in that regard. And once you begin to do that, in Yoruba land we say, that is, when you take feeding or food or hunger, when you take hunger out of poverty, whatever is left of poverty is very little, it's marginal, right? So once we turn the state into the food basket of the region, and then we have a lot more people engaging, farming or agriculture, what you find is that food becomes more accessible and more affordable. And once people can afford to eat and nutrition begins to improve and vitality becomes the order of the day, you raise life expectancy, and then through investment in, our healthcare system, you reduce child mortality at birth or any form of mortality whatsoever at birth, and that way you have a more vibrant populace, and because of that vitality, productivity improves, and when productivity improves, that's a function of revenue, right? So productivity drives revenue. And then, you know, we industrialize the state along the lines of our natural resources. And natural resources, we have many, right? We have pulp paper, you know, for paper production. We have limestone for cement manufacturing. We have tar sands and bitumen in the ground. We don't have any, you know, bitumen refinery. We have rocks, for, you know, rock formations across the state for granite and gravel. You know, we have a forest reserve. We have elephants in Ogun State. And with Rwanda making $400 million, you know, off of gorilla tourism, I don't see why we can't make a whole lot more the same, you know, through elephant, you know, tourism and, you know, whatever wildlife we have.
I never knew they had elephants in Ogun State. I immediately think of Olumorok when it comes to tourism. But let's look at education and healthcare. These are key issues. And as you said, there's a really direct relationship between the vibrancy, the life expectancy when you take care of things like health and education. What will you be doing?
Well, so when you look at education and health, they need almost the same thing, you know, with regards to, you know, intervention. They need a renewal or, you know, absolute revamping of infrastructure of delivery. So if it's, you know, infrastructure of learning on the education side or infrastructure of healthcare delivery on the healthcare side, right? And then after infrastructure for education, then you go to tools of learning. Right, things like multimedia, internet. I mean, I don't see why our public schools cannot have internet. There's absolutely no excuse for it. You know, our revenue may not be so huge, but if we stole it less, we you know, we can do a whole lot more with it, right? And then on the healthcare side as well, there's also tools of, you know, delivering, you know, the healthcare itself. And then back to the education side, it's human capital, and the same on the healthcare side. And what do I mean by human capital? On the education side, we need to retrain our teachers. We need to, you know, bring back the days of, you know, rigorous training for teachers, because we recognize that your students they are as good as the quality of the teachers, and not just the teachers, the school administrators as well. And then we must make sure that they're well paid and paid on time. And the same thing on the other side, you know, of healthcare, right? We need to ensure that the doctors are well trained, they're retrained, and the nurses and other health workers, and that they're well paid and paid on time as well. You know, so, and on the education side, we need to influence curricula. We need to ensure that we don't continue to train, you know, our pupils for the past. We must train them for the future. There are jobs that will become irrelevant in another 10 years. We need to stop training our people for that. And the fourth leg on the healthcare side is consumables and policies that govern the establishment and standards monitoring of private healthcare system and even public, you know, as well. And then what I mean by consumables in that regard is how we source consumables in healthcare. You know, we need to begin to engage directly with manufacturers of drugs, you know, and other forms of medication, so that two things happen. One, we take out the risk of, you know, fake drugs in circulation, and then two, we drive down the price.
Okay. My final question will be, if for whatever reason you don't get the mandate, but you have all these ideas, will you be willing to work with the government?
I'll be willing to do as God leads me.
Thank you, Ademola, and good luck on hearing from God again for the next steps.
Thank you.
We'll be going on a quick break on Politico Politica, but when the show returns, it's our light-hearted segment, the Quick Fire segment. Do stay with us.
Politico Politica. Politics for everyone.
Welcome back to Politico Politica with me, your host, Isabella Akinseye. It's now time for our fun segment, the light-hearted segment, which we call the Quick Fire segment. Ademola, are you ready?
Yes.
Number one, the first female governor will emerge in the next elections, true or false?
False.
Number two, the party that will dominate in 2019 is?
ANN.
Number three, young people have what it takes to be leaders because?
We're the future.
Number four, the funniest thing I've read about myself online.
So I pushed out a video recently, and I was singing and dancing, and somebody said something really funny. It was complimentary, and I thought it was funny.
Or like the dancing governor, or?
Well, the person said I looked like Dino Melaye. I thought that was really funny.
Okay. Number five, the candidate I'm most afraid of.
None.
Number six, Nigerians will vote with their stomach or their brain.
Brain.
Number seven, if not you, who?
I don't know.
Thank you, Ademola.
Thank you.
We'll soon be rounding off this episode of Politico Politica, but first, let's check out what's happening on our political landscape. Enjoy.
Politico Politica. Politics for everyone.
On election day, you must present your PVC for accreditation before voting. The card reader 1 verifies that the PVC presented at the polling unit is authentic and issued by INEC. 2. It confirms that the bearer of the card is the legitimate owner of the card through the fingerprint matching. With this innovation, it is impossible to vote more than once in an election or use someone's card to vote. Remember, impersonation, voting by proxy, and multiple voting are offenses that can land offenders in jail. B1. Support INEC to organize free, fair, and credible elections. This message is from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
Politico Politica. Politics for everyone.
Welcome back to Politico Politica with me, your host, Isabella Akinseye. It's now time to close the show with our final segment, the Final Words segment. So, Ademola, as the name implies, final words, we want you to take that last breath and deliver your final words to your camera.
What I want the world to know, and when I speak to the world, I speak to my constituents in Ogun State. I speak to the people who have been clamoring for change for so long. And I'm asking you to recognize that the change that you're clamoring for must start with you. If we want the state to change, we first must change. We must change the way we think. We must change the way we vote, who we vote for, and why we vote for them. We must recognize, however, that it's important for us to remember that governments are run not by parties, but by people, by candidates, by people who get into office, that by people you vote into office. It is therefore pertinent that on the 16th of February and the 2nd of March, you vote for a candidate that you believe in, a candidate that you know, you recognize, you believe will represent you when they get to office. Not a candidate that is able to dole out cash or the one that comes on the platform of a party that is popular, but one with integrity, one that you know that you can believe in, one that gets you, that gets your aspirations, one that is relatable. And such a candidate is myself. Such a candidate is people like Fela Durotoye, people like Bola in Oyo State, people like Bimbo Onolaja in Abeokuta Ogun Central. You know, and there are very many different candidates, irrespective of party lines, that are engaging the political process, not for their own, benefits, but for the benefits of the people and the advancement of our journey as humans. And that's what I encourage you to do. And I look forward to continued engagement as we run towards the elections. Thank you.
Thank you, Ademola.
Thank you, Isabella.
And this is where we'll be wrapping up this episode of Politico Politica. But like I always say, politics is not just for the old. It's for the young, it's for the old and the new. It's for everyone. So play a part and stay woke.